Government shutdown continues to loom. Now, airports. Well, not safe. Delays are happening according to the update. Here it is.
The safety of more than 2 million air travelers a day in the U.S. depends on the TSA. And that's no different, of course, during the government shutdown. Right now, TSA agents are screening passengers and their luggage like they would any other day, except they're doing it without getting paid.
So it's not fair that TSA officers are put in this situation, which seems like every couple months now because of the budget. TSA officers, we work in a high-stress job, and we're trained to work in a stressful environment. But to add to their stress, have them worrying about how they're going to get paid, pay their bills, feed their families, it isn't fair. The air traffic controllers aren't getting paid also. So you have the officers checking your bags for weapons, right? And the air traffic controllers all worried about when they're going to get paid. I wouldn't want to fly in that situation.
It was Donald Trump's fault. That's the reason you're not getting paid. Some individuals are afraid to say that because of the politics and their current position, that's government or government adjacent. But that's the reason why. So now there's this element of, safety or lack thereof for those who travel. Groceries. Well, they already were too high. Now you don't even have enough money to buy the too costly or priced too high groceries. Where does it stop? Put it full mass. Let's talk about the safety angle for this one. And the fact, once again, a whole lot of hardworking people come to work every day. It's a tough job. It's a steady job. They're not able to make ends meet, but they must work. The government is now going into day 8 of the government shutdown, and cracks into the foundation are beginning to show. Because of the staff shortages, there's a rise of flight delays. There's potential safety issues with flying, period. You have holiday travel coming up. Staffing shortages led to more flight delays at airports across the U.S. on Tuesday as the federal government shutdown stretched into a 7th day, while union leaders for air traffic controllers and airport security screeners warned the situation was likely to get worse. The Federal Aviation Administration, reported staffing issues at airports in Nashville, Boston, Dallas, Chicago, and Philadelphia, and at its air traffic control centers in Atlanta, Houston, and the Dallas-Fort Worth area. The agency temporarily slowed takeoffs of planes headed to the first 3 cities. Flight disruptions a day earlier also were tied to insufficient staffing during the shutdown, which began October 1st. So despite the staff snags, about 92% of the more than 23,600 flights departing from U.S. airports as of Tuesday afternoon took off on time. That's according to aviation analytics firm Cirium. Travel analyst Henry Hardevelt has voiced major travel concerns by saying, but the risk of wider impacts to the U.S. aviation system, quote, is growing by the day, end quote, as federal workers whose jobs are deemed critical continue working without pay. Travel industry analyst Henry Hardevelt said, the longer the shutdown drags on, the more likely it is to affect holiday travel plans in November. Quote, I'm gravely concerned that if the government remains shut down, then that could disrupt and possibly ruin millions of Americans' Thanksgiving holidays. Well, yeah, but it's also ruining a regular ass day at dinner time because people are still trying to eat before Thanksgiving. So while Thanksgiving becomes the marker, that's corporate again. Thanksgiving, Christmas, a lot of shopping, a lot of purchasing. Here's the thing. When it gets to that time frame where people cannot afford to go and shop for other people, That's when the real pressure from the oligarchs, from the CEOs, from the folks that fund Trump, that's when it really comes to Trump. He's banking that Democrats in Congress and people in general cannot hold on that long, because that's the time frame he typically has based on the folk who put him in office. All right? Okay. So the transportation secretary, Sean Duffy, said Monday that that there has already been an uptick in air traffic controllers calling out sick. They've decided to say, all right, we're going to take a sick day. When there aren't enough controllers, the FAA must reduce the number of takeoffs and landings to maintain safety, and which in turn causes flight delays and possible cancellations. Aviation unions and airlines have called for the shutdown to end as soon as possible. So here's what you have. You have a law. The law says, okay, when you don't have enough air traffic control people, you cannot have this many flights. Simple law. All you got to do is fund the budget. But here's what they will likely do if it continues to go this way. They would just change the law. They'll just, oh yeah, we can just change the law, eliminate the restriction, and let you be unsafe. So this is the thinking of the common congressperson who happens to be sympathetic to Trump, because none of the calculation is based on them being sympathetic to you. All right, we'll bring you updates as they come.